the networking meeting. Now that we've discussed networking via the telephone, let's talk about the next logical step, networking face-to-face. Research indicates face-to-face networking is significantly more effective at generating successful job leads than is telephone networking. On the other hand, it is also far more time-consuming. You can often make 10 calls in the time it would take to complete one face-to-face networking meeting. Thus, you should ask for networking meetings only with your most promising leads and with those contacts with whom face-to-face networking is the norm, such as local contacts you make within your personal, social, and professional circles where you can have a networking discussion as a part of your normal meeting activities. Planning a face-to-face meeting requires that you think through both your visual and verbal strategy. Key issues include when you should meet, how you should dress, and how you communicate non-verbally. Request a time when your contact is less likely to have to meet other objectives, such as breakfast before work, a half an hour before lunch, quitting time, or dinner. In each case, the contact is less likely to feel the pressure to end the meeting to attend other company meetings or expectations. Prior to the meeting, ask what appropriate dress will be so that your clothing will match that of your contact. During the meeting, display positive body language, including a firm handshake, excellent eye communication, erect posture, and nonverbal gestures that indicate liking and respect, such as smiling, minimal head nods to show you are listening, and recording your contact's comments on a pad to show their importance to you. Now let's look at a good example of a networking meeting.
As I mentioned, we have a mutual friend, Marilyn Maxwell.
Yes.
I had worked with Marilyn on a Habitat for Humanity project this past summer, and she recommended you as someone who had an excellent knowledge of the human resources field.
Ah, thank you. That's quite a compliment coming from Marilyn. How's she doing?
She's very happy with her position at the University of Cincinnati.
She's at UC now? Last time I talked to Marilyn, she was the Director of Human Resources at Communiskills.
Yes, she left that position a few months ago, and she's now director of the diversity program at UC. And I understand that diversity is an area in which you and she share an interest.
Yes, I worked in diversity for about 2 years now. Came here and started our company's training program, and have been doing it successfully for about the last 2 years. So, is that what brings you in to see me?
Well, basically, I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, I was hoping that you could tell me what are the areas of the human resources field that are growing most rapidly at this time. And secondly, I wanted to ask if you know of any companies in the area that are hiring for personnel in that area right now.
Those are both very good questions, but before I answer those, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I have worked in the human resources field for the past several years. My last position was at Scott Paper, and while at that position, I was able to save the company over 25% of their training budget by taking over the public speaking and writing classes and teaching them myself in-house. I also worked very closely with their legal staff, and we developed some classes in writing to avoid legal liability. And an additional responsibility that I had at that position was to find counseling for employees who had lost their positions due to downsizing.
Okay, sounds like you had a really good job there. Tell me about your education.
I graduated from Tulane University in 1989. My degree is in management. I also am currently chair of our local branch of the American Society for Training and Development. I'm very proficient in using the computer. I have good skills in using graphic tools, and I also have a lot of experience in preparing PowerPoint presentations.
I'm curious then, why did you leave Scott Paper?
It was a wonderful job. Due to their second major downsizing, as the junior member in the Human Resources Department, my position was simply eliminated. And I've seen this as a positive in some respects, in that I had many times been the one who had to explain a downsizing decision to an employee who had lost their position. And due to this experience, I had to see it from the other side of the table. It's made me more empathetic with those who have lost their positions.
Yeah, really gotten to see it from both sides of the fence and how it feels. Well, given that, though, how did you feel about how you left Scott Paper?
Well, I'm still on very positive terms with them. As a matter of fact, I teach 3 of their training classes currently, and I'm certain that my former supervisor there, Violet Ross, would give me an excellent recommendation.
Okay. It's a really tough world out there, and you've certainly, as you pointed out, gotten to see it from both sides. You've got some really good skills, very, very marketable. What I would recommend, though, is that you highlight your legal expertise or your legal knowledge, particularly around civil rights cases. The industry is really being hit with a lot of cases regarding unlawful discharge, sexual harassment, age discrimination, race discrimination. You've got some skills in that, and if I were you, I'd really begin to highlight those.
That's an excellent idea. Is there an individual that you could recommend who could talk to me about those issues?
Off the top of my head, Mark Green at Taft and Frost. He's very, very good. He's worked for our company for a while, and we have a lot of respect for him.
Well, that's excellent. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, Paul Fioretti. Paul is at Salmon P. Chase Law School. He is very well known, widely published, very well respected, and would have a number of contacts both in industry and in academia.
Well, those are excellent suggestions. When I contact Mr. Green and Mr. Fioretti, would it be all right if I use your name as someone who referred me to them?
Please do, yes.
Okay, thanks very much. Now, I'd like to ask if you know of any companies in the area that are currently looking for people in the human resources field, particularly in the legal area that we've been discussing.
Let's see. Outboard Engines, they're in Lockwood, Ohio. They're an excellent company, started fast, aggressive, and grew. Because of that rapid growth, though, they've been hit with some lawsuits around, we're talking about civil rights issues. Their Director of Human Resources is a woman named Maria Delgado. She's very, very good. You might give her a call and tell her of your interest and your expertise, and then begin to really sell her on how you could help her company.
Is there anything specifically that I should know about that company or about Ms. Delgado if I call for an interview?
Yeah, Maria is extremely well organized. You are obviously also, so that shouldn't be an issue. She's also, though, really, really pressed for time. So if I were you, I'd call her, ask for a breakfast meeting. When you meet with her, have already researched the internet and the library, gotten a lot of good information about the company, where they are, where they're going, their image, as well as some of the issues that they're facing. And you might call both Mark and Paul to begin to get that information.
Okay, well, you've given me some excellent suggestions, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. If it's all right with you, I'd like to leave a few of my resumes so that you'll have a permanent record of my numbers.
Okay.
And also, I would encourage you, if you come in contact with anyone that might be able to help me out, please feel free to pass along a resume. And I'm going to contact Mr. Green and Mr. Fioretti and Ms. Delgado, and I thank you very much. These are wonderful leads, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
What I'd like for you to do is give me a call in a couple of weeks. By then I'll have had a little more time to jot down some names and think of some industries. And I also would really like to see how you're doing with this. So follow up with me, if you would.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'd be happy to do so. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You might be asking yourself, what made this interview so successful? Well, first, Susan kept the interview focused on her objectives, politely probing for relevant information about her field and finding out who else could help her in her job search. Second, she presented a positive image of herself, demonstrating her ability to work hard and commit herself to helping achieve her employer's goals. And she promised to follow up on each of her commitments. Thirdly, Susan anticipated questions and answered them effectively. The world of work is rapidly changing. According to Peter Drucker, who is America's business consultant, we're living in a time of accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. In the 21st century, getting the best job will depend on the business skills you develop, and most importantly, who knows you and your talents. Networking is the most effective way of letting people know how you can benefit them and their organizations. By practicing the simple steps outlined in this video, you will be well on your way to finding an outstanding position. Also, you will have developed a skill that will serve you well in both your personal and professional life.